Now, I don't care if you're into backpacking, hiking, camping, bushcraft, or even prepping. Just as important as having a good tool is having good footwear. Now, for the past umpteen years, as long as I can remember, I've worn hiking boots as my daily wear. These are the Asolo Fugitive GTX. Now, this wasn't my first pair of Asolo boots. I had some other style at one point in time. I honestly can't even remember what they were. I don't know what they were called. I think they might have been similar color, maybe with some blue on them. I don't know. I can't remember. But all I do remember is that I liked them so much I needed to get another pair of Asolo boots. So I got these. I've worn these now for just about 10 years. Definitely run them ragged. Very comfortable boot. Fits my feet perfect. Great for a daily wear. Even better for hiking. Now, the GTX in the name Fugitive GTX pretty much stands for Gore-Tex. These boots are very, very waterproof. In fact, I've almost never had wet feet with these. I never had any wet feet when I was hiking. They wicked very well. I never had really sweaty feet. If I did something dumb, like I fell through ice or something like that, yeah, of course my feet are going to get wet. But for the most part, these really did a great job at keeping my feet dry. They've held up very well. I even still have the original factory laces. Looks like they're about to fall apart, but they hold strong. All the eyelets are in great shape. The hooks, just fine too. The inner lining's perfectly fine. There's a tiny spot that I seem to have worn through, but it doesn't cause any problems, doesn't cause any hot spots or blisters, and it doesn't really seem to be getting any worse. So if that's the worst case scenario after about 10 years, I'm doing pretty good. At least that's what I think. Now, these boots come with a reinforced toe. This one's held up just fine. This one, not so much. It's got a little cut there. I was actually going to try to repair it. I do have some material I think I can use. It's actually more like a sole compound. I might give that a try, see if I can get a little more life out of these. Now, maybe you're watching this because you have these boots. If so, maybe you're looking at them and saying, something doesn't quite seem right here. If you've never seen them before, you're probably not going to know what I'm about to say. The soles on these boots are not the factory soles. I've worn through those a long time ago. But a couple years back, I decided I wanted to breathe a little new life into these puppies. So I had them resoled. When they resole a boot, they cut through a lot of the material that's actually built up by the factory. And when they do that, they add the very bottom sole piece in a little foam spacer that you kind of see right here. That's the spacer, and that's the bottom of the sole, the new tread pattern that they put on. Well, they use a bunch of adhesive to hold all that together, and you'll see on the toe, it's actually peeling apart. So even though this boot's been completely repaired, the last thing I'm going to do is wear it on a mountain, find myself 10 miles deep, and have the actual sole of my boot rip off. So even though it's a good daily wear and could probably get by, kicking around the house or my yard or even possibly to work, again, the last thing I'm going to do is wear these things on the trail. Now, the last thing I'd like to say about these Fugitives is that at the time of this video, even though I've worn these for almost 10 years, these are still a current model. So if you're watching this review and you think these boots might be for you, I'd strongly suggest you check them out. So with my good old Fugitives falling apart and having to be rebuilt, I knew I couldn't trust them on long hikes. So I got myself a pair of the Powermatic 400 GV. So at the time of this review, unfortunately this model is discontinued. I bought these as a leftover pair about 2 years ago, and since then I've never seen them for sale again. So I think I got one of the last pairs, and I'm feeling really fortunate that I did. This has been by far one of the best boots I've ever owned. I've enjoyed wearing these every single day for the past 2 years, and this is what they look like today. All things considered, in extremely great shape. Now for people who don't like a full leather boot, this is an absolutely gorgeous boot in terms of its lightweight, durable construction, excellent features, overall comfort, and just a long list of reasons why this might be the boot for you. Or at least a similar model if you can get your hands on them. The sole system on this boot is one of the reasons why it sets itself apart from other boots. It's made of multiple different materials that have different flexibility depending on how you're walking on them or on different terrains, and it's really added a superb level of comfort. These boots are as comfortable for me as a pair of sneakers, and to be honest with you, even my slippers. Being a Gore-Tex boot, these are extremely water resistant. I'd almost like to say waterproof, but I guess there's probably nothing that's truly, completely waterproof. Another feature that sets this boot apart from others, even other Asolos and other brands altogether, is the micro pulley system. If you look close, you'll notice that on each one of the eyes is a miniature pulley. That is a great feature when you're trying to tie up your boots. What it does is it allows equal pressure to go over the top of your foot. So as you're tightening the boots, it's very simple to tighten to get them at a perfect tightness on top of your foot. But even more so when you're hiking, because these are pulleys, the laces keep an even pressure on all parts of your foot as you're walking and as your foot changes direction and shape. So it's extremely comfortable, very tight, very well form fit, and a great feature that I think more companies should consider using. Similar to the Fugitives, these have an excellent durability. Again, I wore these for almost 2 years straight, almost every single day. Even though these don't have a reinforced toe, you'll notice the toe on these boots are pretty much perfect. I mean, I've worn these on numbers of backpacking trips, hiking, camping, daily wear, changing oil on my truck, all sorts of stuff. Definitely have not treated these well, but they've treated me well. Just some minor damage to report. You can see one of the hooks, the lower hook on this particular boot is bent. It is not the boot's fault. You know, I was probably doing something foolish and just bent that hook. If I got a pair of pliers, I could put that back in a second. I just haven't done it because it hasn't been a problem, hasn't bothered me, and I haven't done anything about it. So, you know, minor things like that are going to happen to any boot. I think that's perfectly acceptable. Now, I have noticed that there's some spots on the sole that seem to be pulling away. It's nothing that's detrimental quite yet, but I know that that's the start of a failure. So it's just something to keep an eye on, and it is worth noting. You know, yes, these are 2 years old. They probably have thousands of miles on them at this point. But that is something that's a concern because it is peeling away. More notably, you'll notice here, there's actually a significant portion of the sole that's starting to pull away. Kind of between that mid-sole section and the bottom sole section. This seems to be intact for the most part. But right here, it's definitely a weakness. Now, I didn't really notice until today, actually until right this minute. Now, this is the other boot, and it has a very similar failure in the exact same spot. But if you look even closer, right there, the whole bottom's starting to break away. So, and there goes a big chunk flying off. So, you know, there's another hole there. The soles are pretty well worn out. I mean, I knew these were on their last legs anyway. I've worn these every day as a daily wear on pavement, on weird surfaces, and in work and all sorts of places. So, you know, I'm pretty well worn through this sole. And this is what the Fugitives looked like before I had them resoled. So, you know, I'm not surprised that these are at this point. I don't know if it's a fault of this particular boot. I wouldn't think so. In fact, I think anything I wore would probably wear through like that at this length of time. So if that's what a worn out sole looks like, what does a new one look like? Bam! That's what a new one looks like. So what is this new mystery boot, you ask? Bam! The Powermatic 200 GV. So I'm not necessarily just a brand loyalist, but I definitely know what works for me. I know what's comfortable. I know what my feet like. I know what treats me well on a long hike far away from home when I really need my gear to do what it needs to do. So I figured, why mess with it? Let's just get another pair. But this time, I got the Cadillac. You know, I really wanted to try a full leather boot. I've never really had a pair like this. Most of them I had were a synthetic of some sort. But I saw these and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. These have all the same features as the 400 GV. The same soles. The same pulley system. They're waterproof. And they look damn sweet. These boots are Gore-Tex. They have some nice lines. Cool design. Like I mentioned before, they have the same micro pulley system. I haven't really worn these yet. In fact, I just got them today. But I cannot wait to take these things for a test ride. So there you have it. A decade of hiking, plus my future. What will the future bring? I guess we'll see. You've been watching my videos. You know what gear I'm playing with. You know these are going to show up in my future videos. So maybe I'll have to follow up with you and give you a full review at the end of the season. Who knows? But in the meantime, I asked the question. What footwear do you wear? What do you wear when you're bushcrafting and hiking and you're out in the woods having fun? What do you wear as a daily wear? What do you wear to work? If you have something that works for you, it probably works for somebody else. So let's hear what you have to say about it. I'm kind of curious. Maybe I don't know the best thing. All I know right now is what works for me. So share your stories. Let's hear it. I hope you guys found this informative. As always, thanks for stopping by. See you guys soon. Take care.